So we know
Recording in
that.
progress.
Hello, everybody. Welcome to the October 26, 2021 Planning Commission meeting of the City of Cupertino. As you know, this is in accordance with Government Code 5.953-C. This will be a teleconference meeting without a physical location to help stop the spread of COVID-19. So if you're a member of the public wishing to comment on an item on the agenda, you may do so in a few ways. Email comments by 5 p.m., which hopefully you have, or email comments during the times for public comment during the meeting. Or, of course, you can actually raise your hand in the middle of the Zoom conference. So with that, let's hand that over and do a roll call. So over to you, Sarah.
Thank you. Commissioner Kapil,
Oh, yes.
Commissioner Maripatla,
Here.
Commissioner Saxena,
Yep.
Vice Chair Shar,
Present.
Chair Wong.
Here, present.
Thank you.
Very cool. All right. Let's start with our first item, which is really, I believe we're just opening up items to general public. Is that correct? That's oral comments. Sorry about that. Let's do ceremonial matters and presentations. Item number 1, Senior Strategy Survey. So let's get a presentation on encouraging community input in a survey, assessing resource awareness and need among seniors for senior strategy on the City Work Program item. Hand it over to staff. Over to you, staff.
Well, hello, my name's Alex Corbelis. I work over at the Cupertino Senior Center, believe it or not, as I present about our Senior Resource Availability Survey. So let me share my presentation for you here. Can you all see that? So tonight I'm here to present some information on a survey we are currently distributing, have just begun distributing, and the survey addresses the City Council work plan item. And the intent of this presentation is to garner your support in spreading the word and encouraging participation in the upcoming survey. So senior strategy is one of the top 10 items on the City Council's work program for this fiscal year, and it encompasses 5 focus areas: technology, housing, transportation, food access, and physical and mental health and well-being. Staff is currently putting together a survey which will seek to determine needs amongst our senior population and the level of awareness of the services that are already provided in the community. This survey has just launched last week and is available online at cupertino.org/senior and engagecupertino.org. And in addition to the digital survey, hard copies are available for pickup at the Quinlan Community Center, the Cupertino Senior Center, and Cupertino Library. Those completed forms may be returned at either the Quinlan Community Center or the Senior Center. The survey either has already been or will be announced on the city's social media outlets, in the Cupertino Scene, and in the Cupertino Senior Center's newsletter, the 50 Plus Scene. And so that's all I have for you this evening. This is an important item that we're hoping to find more information on. And yeah, if you have any questions, I'm happy to answer for you.
Alex, thank you so much. Are there ways we can spread the word that would help? What would be your suggestion?
Well, it has already been posted on social media. So, for example, the city's Parks and Recreation Facebook page, we've shared the survey there. It's also one of the banner items on just cupertino.org. It's right there. If anybody's interested in getting the word out about taking it, the links can be found in both those locations.
Okay, thank you very much. Any questions from other planning commissioners? Okay, with no questions, thank you so much, Alex. Thank you from the staff. With that, let's move on to approval of minutes. Subject, approve the September 28th Planning Commission minutes. Recommended action, approve the September 28th Planning Commission minutes. So anyone had a chance to read the draft minutes, please take some time to do that. And then, of course, someone please make a motion when you're comfortable. All right. Anybody make a motion to approve the minutes?
I'll make a motion to approve it.
All right. Any seconds?
Sure, I'll second it.
Okay. Oh, I see Vikram's hand up. I don't know. Does voice beat hand motions? We'll find out. So, all right. We got a second from Vice Chair Scharf. All right. Any comments? All right. Let's call for a vote. So,
Okay. Commissioner Kapil,
Oh, yes.
Commissioner Maripatla,
Yes.
Commissioner Saxena,
Yes.
Vice Chair Sharp,
Yes.
Chair Wong.
aye.
Motion carries 5-0-0.
Okay. Thank you very much. All right, now for my favorite part of the meeting, oral communications. This is the portion of the meeting that's reserved for persons wishing to address the commission on any matter within the jurisdiction of the commission and not on the agenda. Speakers are limited to 3 minutes, and in most cases, state law will provide the commission from making any decisions with respect to a matter not on the agenda. So yes, if you've got something that you'd like to ask and join, please raise your hand. You can do that on Zoom, and you can find the raise your hand area. We do have one individual, Jenny Griffith. So Jenny, the floor is yours. You've got 3 minutes.
Thank you very much, Mr. Chair. Hi, I'm Jennifer Griffin, and I've been following something that's called Plan Bay Area 2050, and this is the descendant of Plan Bay Area 2040. And I think it was last Friday, ABAG and MTC voted to endorse this plan. And I am very, very concerned that we're kind of putting the cart before the horse with this type of planning. This is where we got some of the housing bills from. We're also having situations where we have bills like, I think it's AB 1401, where it will reduce parking across the state. And all of this is coming from this type of document called Plan Bay Area, in this case, 2050. If you look at it, it is pretty revolutionary. It's like you can't drive cars. They're going to basically take over city control. I mean, yes, maybe I'm exaggerating, but this is something that was invoked by RENA last year without anyone's input. And that's how we wound up with all these sky-high housing numbers. And I'm just thinking at this point, if ABAG and MTC are already endorsing this type of, I'll call it secret document, basically, are they going to throw it on to the RENA next year? And we're going to have 4 times what the number of housing units required that we have now? I feel like this is some sort of a secret society, secret government that the public and the cities aren't invited to. I feel like sometimes these people have taken over control of the legislature. They have first dibs on telling the governor what to do. And I'm very, very concerned about it. The public is being excluded. And I do not think that this is a democratic process. And I don't have any faith in these people to be deciding what the future for California is. As far as I understood, this state is run as a democracy, and we don't give away our votes and our control to non-public groups. And if MTC and ABAG are contributing to something that is excluding the public, then we need to have an investigation into this. And I think that I don't like the road we're going down. This is a very undemocratic way. I don't know how the Democratic Party is looking at this, but I'm very, very concerned that we're kind of going off the rails here and we're going into secret society land. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Jennifer. Appreciate your comments. Anybody else with comments? I'm looking here. I don't see anyone else on the list. So really appreciate your comments out there. And we will move on to the next agenda item. Okay. I don't think we have any old business.
Ray,
Yeah, go ahead.
should we ask for any email comments? Sometimes people send.
It is a great question. So do we have any email comments?
Thank you. There hasn't been any received for this meeting. If any do come in this evening during the meeting, I will make sure to forward that over.
Thank you very much. Wonderful. Okay. let's move to new business. Mandatory know before training. So we're going to receive a presentation by the city's infrastructure division on the mandatory know before training. So city staff, please join us.
Thank you, Chair Ray. Hello, everyone. My name is Ikram, joined with Tuan from the infrastructure division. And today I'm going to do a quick overview of the mandatory know before training that we have pushed out to all our users. So let me share my screen here. All right, hope you guys can see that there. So again, this is something that is being done citywide, and it's being pushed out by our innovation technology department. It's hosted by KnowBefore, so hopefully you guys have seen some of those emails come through in the past, and we've been using them for a while now to ensure that our users are trained and know how to identify cyber attacks. So, as many of you may have heard or read, that just this year alone, there have been many companies. Ray, you were speaking. You good? Okay.
I'm good. I'm just amazed. I'm looking at these numbers. I'm like, massive ransomware here.
Oh yeah. So Colonial Pipeline gas company, Brentig is, I believe, was a meat processing in UK, and then JBS Foods was another. Brentig was a pharmaceutical. Anyhow, many of these companies ended up having to pay money to the bad guys, and that's not a good thing to do in the first place. But they were at their knees and had needed to get their information back. But what people don't realize is that, yeah, you pay the bad guys the money, you may or may not even get that information back. But then there's more costs behind the scenes, right? You're now paying and investing in infrastructure and cybersecurity insurance and all these other things that you have to put in place to ensure that this never happens again. And that can go into the tens of millions of dollars, not just what you may be asked for. Other companies such as T-Mobile was a large one, and they were the bad guys wanted to sell the customer data on the black market. And I don't think they've come to a resolve yet, but I think that's still ongoing. But these are things that are happening every day, not only for companies, but in people's personal lives. There have been so many data breaches, from the past, for instance, Target, right, for the consumers. It's never ending, and it's always getting more and more sophisticated. All we can do is help better you with tools to identify such things like this, ransomware and phishing attacks and things of that nature, just so that you're equipped with better tools that you can not only use while you're conducting city business, but also to be in your personal life. So with that said, after this meeting, you should see an email similar to this that will ask you to click on this link here from KnowBefore to enroll and start your training. And once you click that link, you'll see one or two screens, maybe both. One will be to enter your email for the KnowBefore dashboard, and then it'll be redirected to the City of Cupertino login, and go ahead and enter that as well. And once you do those two things, you should be successfully in your dashboard, and you'll see this training here. It should take you no more than 20 minutes at most, just depending on how quickly you're able to get the material. But once you've started, please finish it till the end. And once you're done, we'll get a notification that you've finished and completed it. Again, important things. It doesn't take a lot of time, but it builds and sets gives you some skills, life skills to safeguard yourself and your family. Do I have any questions?
Hey, Ikram, thanks for the presentation. Did I say your name right?
Yes.
Okay, good. So, yeah, no, I've been getting these emails. It's just that now I've not been clicking on them because, rightfully so, right? So,
right.
Is it possible that, when we have these kind of stuff, the email comes from someone that we know, like, if it comes from you or let's say, from PU or something like that, then we know, it's a trusted source, right? Otherwise, I'm hesitant to click on anything that just comes to my mails, right? So.
Yeah, and I understand that, and I get that. I think, but we've been toying around with that idea, trying to make it look more familiar. Unfortunately, because we are using a third party to host the training, it's kind of hard to get it integrated with our systems. We've been
Okay.
doing our best to kind of make it look more familiar. But this is also the reason why we've been coming to training or to meetings to kind of get you guys familiarized, so at least to know what the good emails from us look like.
Okay.
Yeah.
I think one thing you could help is just send a follow-up email. Hey, you're going to
Look
get
at
an
it.
email from this person or this ID, and it is legit. So
Okay. Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm going to go to Vice Chair Sharf real quick. He's politely raised his hand, and we've bypassed him, so
No, it's
apologies.
fine.
Go
I had
ahead.
the exact same. I had the exact same concern. You know, I thought, oh, maybe this is a test by our IT department to see if we click on unknown links.
No,
So
I get
I would
that.
not click
Yeah.
on it. If it had come from Bill or something and say, hey, this is okay, then that would have been different. But I have the same concern as the others. You know, I'm paranoid about, and I know you guys kind of sometimes go out and test us as well to see
True.
if we click on links. So
Right.
yeah, I'm especially cautious because of that. So yeah, I agree. Make sure it comes from someone we know.
Right.
I was really looking for the
I mean-
bonus numbers, but I guess I didn't get those.
And by the way, this is not unique to, here, I have the same request to our company, IT department as well, right? So I tell them hey, anything that comes from a third party, I'm not going to click unless, somebody trusted tells me that, no, it's okay to click on that.
Right. I get it. Yep. Yeah, usually before we send out trainings, we do try to send out a mass email to everyone just to remind them, hey, keep a lookout for such and such an email, whatever it is that we're sending out. But everyone gets so many emails, it often gets buried. So that's why we make sure to also come to these meetings just in case they've missed it, and then they're aware of what to look for. So with that being said, any other questions?
Yeah.
No, Ikram, thank you. Oh, anyone else? Sorry.
Yeah.
We got Sanjeev. Go ahead. So.
Yeah, I mean, is there a kind of a external mail marked on the from the server which originates from the Cupertino.org? Because I can always create a Cupertino.org myself as a fake domain and just put a link from that on the email, and people will think they're clicking on a Cupertino.org and it will go somewhere else. So is there a marking on the emails which originate from in-house server, basically within the Cupertino? That way you could actually figure it out that whatever is there is kind of authentic.
I'll have to look into the settings of that. There might be a little bit more customization we can do to kind of make it more familiarized. But yeah, we'll look into that. Thanks for the tip.
Wonderful having so many tech-savvy commission members here. So, Ikram, thank you so much for your presentation, and very, very much needed here, given the height of ransomware and cybersecurity. So, okay, with that,
The data that's the ransomware data that you presented, that's only people that have publicly announced. There are tons of people that haven't even announced that they paid ransom.
Yeah, most definitely. Most definitely.
So, Sanjeev, do you have another question? Your hand is still raised. I just want to double check here.
No.
Commissioner Kapil?
That's it. No.
All right, good. All right, Commissioner Kapil, we're good. We are moving to item number 4. So, General Plan Annual Review. So, recommended action, provide direction on the format of the General Plan Annual Review and Implementation Plan. Staff report here. Let's go to Pew.
Let me just share my screen here. Didn't think I would have a presentation, but then I decided, why not? Let's see. Okay. I'm a year ahead, but that's okay. This is October 26, 2021. This is the general plan review for 2021. Just a refresher.
We like long-term planning, so.
Just the general plan annual review is required by state law, in addition to actual review of the policies and programs in the plan, we are required by housing element update, and that does have to happen also all prior to April 1st of every year. Just as a reminder, there are several elements in the general plan. Some are mandatory. Some cities have optional elements as well. In our city, we have all the mandatory elements, and we have one optional element, which is the infrastructure element. What is the purpose of the annual review? I like to think of the annual review as being, identifying priorities for the community, by council, by planning commission, for work actions that the staff can work on as identified in the general plan, and also as a tool to ensure that there's appropriate funding made available for these action items through the budget process. That's how I like to think about the annual review report, and also to provide an update on the progress that has been made on prior action items and things like that. With regard to the 2020 annual report, which was the one that Commission went through last year and earlier this year, it was reviewed several times with the Planning Commission over several meetings between October last year and February this year. And the City Council received that report in March 2021 and was very appreciative of the work that the Commission did. With regard to the 2021 annual report, I just wanted to let the Commission know that we as staff didn't necessarily see any changes being proposed to the format, but I wanted to check in with the Commission in terms of whether it wished to see any changes to the format, and then whether there's anything that I know that we're providing additional details in the comments section in the report, and whether we would just continue to do that. Again, the next steps for this item is to receive the comments from the Planning Commission. And I do want to reiterate the attachment that you had in your packet. There are no changes. It was just the final 2020 report that was just attached, just for Commission to consider, in terms of formatting and other things. And then, of course, we'll bring it back for further review prior to it being presented to Council in 2022. So with that, I conclude my report, and I'm happy to answer questions or have the Commission deliberate.
Yeah, thank you, Pew. I believe we worked on that format from the last couple Planning Commission meetings so that we get to a point where we could actually prioritize and highlight the areas that were important, the areas that were in effect, and of course, the areas that had been completed. So given it's a new Planning Commission, if there's anything you guys want to change or take a look, if you had a chance, that might make it easier to share information, collaborate. Please definitely provide some suggestions as well. Vice Chair Scharf. Please go ahead.
I'm sorry, I'm looking at the report. I'm not sure if it's in there or not. I know we always report on, as required by state law, on the number of permits that we issue for new construction. Can we, even though it's not required, I would love it if we also reported on the projects that the City Council has approved and that the property owners are free to get permits on when they choose to do so. And, the reason is the City Council approved way more than our RENA requirement in the last cycle. And yet, because of various factors, the economy, other issues, a lot of the property owners have chosen not to build their projects. And it kind of, we get attacked as a city. Oh, look, you haven't built any housing, when in fact, we have no power at all to force someone that has an approved project to actually build. So I would just like that to be part of the report out, even though it's not required by state law. And they really, they're emphasizing permits for their own agenda. But I think we should also talk about the fact that we don't build housing; the property owners build it at their option. Thank you.
If I may,
please go.
Chair Wong, I just wanted to respond to that. I did want to assure the Commission that report out is made to the Council. So while those are not reported on the forms that HCD puts together, because there is no spot to do so, HCD is only collecting forms related to building permits issued. However, when the report is made to Council, we do report out on the number of housing units that the city has approved.
I was actually going to add to that because I do know that we don't report that to HCD on the forms, and I don't know if there's a possible way to actually put an addendum. I think it's very important. If we can do something like that, if there's a way to do an addendum, I agree with Vice Chair Scharf immensely here. We are subject to an attack with a false narrative that we haven't done our part when the part that we could provide has been completed, yet the other half, which is the actual construction and the pulling of permits, has not been delivered on our end. And so I think if there's a way we can make that available, if we can look into that as an amendment, even though it's not onto the form, if we can submit that, I think that will make our point because we've been suffering a false narrative, false attack from members of the press and in the belief of some administrators in some of the departments. So I think it's an important piece to be able to convey back.
I did want to assure the commission that we'll look into it and see if there is a way to do that. At this point, however, HCD has set forms and there isn't.
I know.
But we'll certainly look into that.
Thank you. Appreciate it. Well, if HCD people are listening to our meetings, please take note. We're doing our part. Okay. Anybody else with any other comments? All right. I don't think we have any additional comments here. So let's move on
Open up the public hearing.
Moving to the public hearing. Yeah.
Oh.
Oh, yeah. No, we're moving to the public for a comment. So. All right, let's go to our public. We've got a question from Jennifer Griffin. As usual, you have 3 minutes, and the floor is yours, Jennifer Griffin. Oh, all right.
Hi.
Hello, all yours.
Yeah, I know. With this little tablet still working, which is amazing. Anyway, yes, the fact that you all brought up HCD, my favorite California institution. I think HCD is for the whole state. I'm not sure. But yes, we have this ongoing, often one-sided dialogue, kind of like nanny state, where a lot of, institutions in California keep beating on the cities and saying, neener, you didn't do this. And we do have a lot of construction that has been approved for housing, but nobody ever came and built anything. And of course the developers have that prerogative. I had 2 questions. One of them is, with this type of land, things that there are sitting permits that have not been used yet, is the land actually physically upzoned at this point on these projects, and does the upzoning stay and run with the land even if the permits expire, et cetera, et cetera? I don't know how that works. Also, we have a new entity in California called the Housing Accountability Unit, which was from our governor in his budget from June, and it's a bunch of money that's being given to HCD, with a bunch of people, I think there are 25 positions that are hired by HCD to invoke the Housing Accountability Unit, which is basically the go-getter to get the gotcha saying, you haven't met your RENA numbers. And I'm a bit concerned about when we have HCD doing this, and then we have a whole bunch of housing construction that has been approved, but we have many areas in the city where we have permits that are sitting idle, the land is idle, and nobody's built the housing. What is the Housing Accountability Unit going to be doing? Are they going to be coming in like a overseeing group and saying, oh, you didn't do this, when it's not our fault because the developers didn't do anything? So we have a whole new entity in here, the Housing Accountability Unit, and we probably need to start looking at what are these people going to be doing, and how do they think they're involved in this? Because we have too many fingers in the pot here, and the public and the cities aren't allowed to say anything. And it's kind of like you had nursery school teachers that kept yelling at their students when the students had no way to say anything. Yes, we did this. We're living in a nanny state, basically. Anyway, thank you for your comments. If you could talk about the upzoning too for these properties, I would appreciate it. Thank you.
Thank you, Jennifer. Pew, it's an interesting question. I think I would add, do we know the answer to that?
No, we don't necessarily have an answer to that, but it's certainly something that we'll be looking at all of these and other issues when we evaluate our housing element.
Oh, the city attorney, can he respond when we grant a general plan amendment and then the property owner doesn't use it? What happens when the project approval expires after 10 years or whatever period? Does that, I presume that GPA just goes away. Is that true?
So general plan amendments don't expire. Other project entitlements do. They typically, in our code, I believe they have a 2-year period after a development permit is issued. So those entitlements would expire. A general plan amendment would remain in place until it's reversed.
Oh, okay. Thank you.
Any other questions from commissioners? Commissioner Maripadle.
So to me, that doesn't make sense, right? So could we make that conditional where, like the approval is tied to the general plan amendment that's granted for the project? So if the project doesn't come to fruition, then along with, the expiry, the general plan amendment also expires.
Great question for the city attorney.
Yeah, I have not seen that done before.
But could we investigate that and make that, because then that will force the developers that are getting these approvals to pull permits to construct. Otherwise, they're going to get the GPA, they're going to get the approvals for the project, not build, but walk away with the GPA.
So if I may add, I know that for purposes of the hotel that was approved with the general plan amendment on De Anza, I think the general plan amendment was specifically for that hotel development. So if it was some other kind of development, they would have to adhere to the underlying general plan and not necessarily to the general plan amendment that they received with that hotel development. So I guess there are many ways to write up a general plan amendment to be specific to some sort of project, but that's all hypothetical, and we'd have to think about how that might be done.
But so I see your point where they got an approval to do a hotel, but if they don't do it, they can't do anything else. They are constrained.
Another hotel could potentially be proposed that takes advantage of that general plan amendment, certainly.
Right, but then they could also sit on it forever, right, without building one, right? So the whole idea of granting that general plan amendment, it's just it's a benefit they got, but they didn't do anything with it. Other than it's just a gain, right? And there is no strings attached to that gain.
Can we expire the GPA as well? We'd have to vote for that, right?
I believe a general plan amendment has to be taken away with, has to be rescinded with a public hearing and notice and all that other.
So there's a rescission process is really what I'm getting at. So, okay.
Thank you.
And any other questions from commissioners? Okay. I don't see any. And let's see. All right. Oh, Commissioner Kapil.
Actually, I was looking at the Pew's table, and is there a way to figure out a priority among the pending projects? I couldn't figure out. I mean, maybe there is a way, or it is just a listing and without any specific priority order linked to it.
So yes, the listing is a listing of all the city's general plan policies, strategies, and there is no priority in it. The whole process, as we go through the general plan annual review, like I mentioned, this is where the commission and city council makes their priorities known in terms of they can use this process to identify work program items that they wish to prioritize.
Yeah, I mean, it makes sense for in progress and completed ones. Of course, the priority is inbuilt in it because the order in which they were executed. I guess the one which matters there is the one which are pending and which are color coded in your tables. So how to read that? In that case, everything noted in that is of equal priority, or is it something basically for anybody to review that project? How does he go about doing it in the sense that because it is pending and it is not yet to execute, so how do you prioritize there? Is there some budget allocation criteria, or is there some other criteria which is implicit in it?
So it just depends on the council's priorities. Essentially, if the council prioritizes an item, we would move that up the chain, I guess, in terms of priority. In terms of the color coding that's on there, that's more of a the yellow items are the ones that are in progress, I believe, and then the green ones are ones that are completed, for example. And so we're just, the annual report is not where you identify your priorities. It's the work program where you identify your priorities. But this is, you can go through the annual report to offline, do your own prioritization. And when the work program discussion happens, you can bring up those work program items at that meeting.
Okay,
so this just lays out everything that the city could work on or could do as a big picture. And then you would take that, and then when the work program discussion happens, figure out what's important to you and maybe, try to add those to the work program.
I see. So my thinking is that there is already some discussion has already happened on those yellow items, isn't it? Is that true?
On the yellow items, yes, those are the ones that are in progress, is my understanding, if I recollect correctly.
Yeah,
there are
yellow is in
not one,
progress.
there are a lot.
Yes,
so,
absolutely.
So if there is already a discussion happen on some of those, if not all of them, is there a way to capture the order in which they are prioritized? Because it's at this point, just to see this table is just looks like a inventory item kind of a thing. It's not something you can put a lot of attention to one of them and not because there are quite a few of them. So yeah, just a suggestion.
Yeah, I mean, all of these discussions are happening concurrently, Commissioner Capello. I mean, there are different divisions and departments that are working on these items. For example, the housing division works on the policies related to housing or any work programs related to housing. The planning department works on the items related to land use, for example. And so there are, several divisions and departments that are working on each of these items. So there isn't a priority list that I have, or that can be created across all divisions and departments. And so all of these things are occurring concurrently in a sense.
Yeah, what I mean by priority is not exactly that a priority in the way that it has to be executed and anything like that. If there has substantial discussion happened, that is somehow captured in that table, that this item has gone through a significant amount of review process or whatever, and some items are fairly new in there. All of them are yellow. It's very difficult to figure out that which you have already taken to large extent and discussed it, and that's kind of a priority I'm talking about.
Yeah, and that is sort of represented in the comments. If you were to go through and go the comments in the comment column, generally might capture it. For example, it could reflect the work that has happened on an item. And so, Chair Wong, I sense that you may wish to say something.
Yeah, I was going to say, what might save you some time, Commissioner Kapil, is we can play you videos or find the right videos from last year's process so that you have an idea of what to expect. You can kind of see how the interaction worked and how the prioritization and the color coding and everything works in terms of each of those priorities. That'll give you some context. It's pretty hard to describe verbally here, but probably easier to watch in the video.
I see. From the table, I was, it is not, because there are not one item, they are fairly big items.
There are a lot of items. It's a very long set of meetings we're about to enter, which leads us to the next agenda item that we're going to be talking about, is really to get us prepped and familiarized with a lot of things that are coming up ahead. So,
okay, thank you. I'll watch the videos.
Oh, we should point you to where the videos are. Actually, we've got a lot of videos on file as well, so something to do. So, okay, I'm gonna move on. I don't know if we have any other comments here, but this does take us to the next one, which was a good segue, Commissioner Kapil. Subject item number 5. Look ahead at 2022 Planning Commission meetings. And this is really receiving a report and review the resources provided at your convenience in preparation for upcoming topics. We had an agenda planning meeting where we were trying to figure out what's up, right? What's coming up in January? What's coming up? So, it's probably too hard by month, but at least we can do by quarter and understand, what's out there. And it gives us an idea of what to prepare for. And I think it's very important as well, as we especially get into RENA numbers and housing element policies and stuff like that, to make sure we have the right resources as well. So pass this on back to you, Pew.
Thank you. I have a very short presentation on this. You described it really well. In terms of the look ahead, apologies for the chaos in the background. In terms of a look ahead in 2022, we have the housing element, the site selection, which is probably the first thing that is going to occur with regard to the housing element update, which needs to be completed by January of 2023. In terms of, and that we expect to occur sometime in the winter of 2022, so in the January through March timeframe. In spring and summer of 2022, we expect that, we expect an urgency ordinance potentially would happen before January 1st of 2022, and then that the council would direct staff to work on a regular ordinance related to SB 9 and associated housing bills, and we expect that to happen in spring through summer of 2022 to establish a regular ordinance to implement any requirements that the city wishes to see. Again, with regard to housing element update, there's sort of two parts to it. One, I already talked about the site selection, and then the rest of it is the policies that go along with it. The technical analysis will lead to policies that the city must adopt in order to generate more housing, and also the environmental review associated with that. So all of that is expected to occur in the fall of next year. And then there is also the mixed use and residential design guidelines, which is a lot of objective standards and design features that we can implement on projects. And that project we're hoping will be coming to Planning Commission and Council in late fall 2022. So all of these will these are the big things that we think will occur in 2022. And in the staff report, I did want to point out there were certain resources links that we provided to help the commission prepare for these items. We provided a few links regarding the housing element. There was a link to HCD's website where it talks about what is a housing element, why it's needed. It provides links to other jurisdictions' housing elements, approved housing elements. RENA. There's a lot of information on the HCD's website. There's also a link to a presentation from the Planners Academy, Planning Commission Academy, I think, and that provides information on the housing element update as well. And also there were some helpful links to other cities, objective standard design guidelines as well to help the commission understand what are objective design standards and how other cities have been implementing them.
Thank you for the presentation, Pew. And I think you reminded me of something. Commissioner Kapil, do you have a question as well? You've got your hand raised. I just want to make sure. If that's not the case, lower your hand. I wanted to actually remind the planning commissioners we have an opportunity to take the Planning Commissioner Academy class at some point, and I'm not sure what the dates are, but it's usually in the spring. And I think a number of us did not go last year, but it's a really important place to be able to actually learn what's going on. So the Planning Academy presentation, you see it from 2020. It's a good place just to get an overall refresher if you haven't been in a while as well. And so we'll look for the dates as well and get people there. So
I can actually provide those dates, Chair Wong, if it's okay. It's March 16th through 18th, 2022. And, we at staff will be happy to help you enroll for that if you wish to attend.
Where's the fabulous location this year? So
it's actually fairly close. It's in San Ramon this year.
Okay. Good.
There we go. So, all right. Well, at least we're not on a ship that's haunted. I think that's happened before. So part of the fun.
Okay, March 16th.
March 16th through the 18th, 2022. And yes, we're happy to help you register for it if you are able to go.
I would block my calendar for those days.
Yeah.
I would look.
Please block your calendars. I would be great. And I really appreciate this. I think staff, this is really important, giving us dates ahead so we can plan, study, do some review. I really appreciate you guys putting that together. So thank you.
Yeah, thank you.
Very cool. Oh my God, what are we doing? This meeting's moving too fast. Maybe we'll stay here for another hour. Just kidding. All right, that's our staffing commission reports. I don't know if we used to have another item that was really about future meetings, but I think that covered for that. Any other things from commissioners? Anything you guys want to talk about? Any kind of like your reports? Anything you want to add? Meetings you've been to, things happened through the week? We'll do that real quickly.
There was a member of the public that wanted to speak on this agenda item.
Oh, okay. That's
before we move on.
Yeah, we should do that. Thank you. Vice Chair Scharf, you could point. Let's move to Jenny Griffith. Jennifer Griffin, you're up.
Thank you. I'm unmuted, I think.
You are unmuted. We can hear you.
All right. Anyway, oh, wow. You talk about Brave New World. You guys were talking about items for next year. It's like the future of the Planning Commission. And I just feel like with SB 9 and SB 10, we have gone over Niagara Falls into deep, deep bedlam. I'm glad you all are going to be going to the Planning Commissioner Academy. It's kind of like we need to get all our hats on and PhDs and stuff in this stuff, because I really feel like SB 9 and 10 just kind of threw, we had a bunch of housing bills which were basically really lousy. I mean, they're written very poorly. I've spent 4 years of my life watching the housing bills march by. And SB 9 and 10 just were like Soviet Socialist Republic took over the state. And I'm really, basically both of them really freak me out. I really don't understand or know where we're going with this. I really feel like any control that the city had or the public input is being suppressed. And I don't like the direction that we're going with 9 and 10. And I really think that the public needs to be heard on this, because this is going to basically take over a lot of what is happening in the city, in our Planning Commission, City Council. I can tell you right now, there's going to be bedlam in the suburbs. You are going to have neighborhoods. If 9 and 10 get invoked, we're going to have neighborhoods, neighbors having to ask questions. We're going to have townhouse and condo association complexes. Why is this person dividing up their condo and putting in a 4-story building? HOAs are going to be coming into the city asking, what are my rules? Why is somebody converting, the washroom and the garages and the public parking spaces into 5-story townhouses? I mean, we're in the wild, wild west here. And I really don't feel like we have any any control or any direction that's coming from the state is confused and misguided. And this is basically being thrust upon the cities. So our staff, our employees in the city, are the ones that have to help us wade through this muddle. And it is a muddle. It is a dirt pile. It is the worst storm you ever saw. And I really think that 9 and 10 are going to clog up most of what we do as a city in the next coming years. I'm hoping that the initiative will suppress 9 and 10 when it comes up in November. But I have grave reservations about where we're going with 9 and 10. And I feel like the legislator and the governor is hostile to us. But yes, thank you, brave staff. We will go forward, and our elected officials. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Jennifer. Commissioner Matapatli.
So I just are we on to the last section where we report back on activities?
Yeah, we can definitely do that. Let's start there. Unless other people, I want to make sure everyone's okay. If there's no other comments from our team for staff and commission reports on this planning agenda. Sounds like there isn't. All right, go ahead. Mooney, all yours.
Okay, thank you. So Vikram and I did a design committee review last week where we reviewed 2 projects. And one of them was, house that's being rebuilt on Imperial Avenue. The exception that they were seeking was, the setback from the side yards, right, the next to the house, right? So it's a 15 feet instead, they've only had, 10 feet. And it's because, the lot size itself is small. And it's quite common to give that kind of a exception, to grant that kind of a exception in that area because most of the lots are very small. So we don't have, room for setback. So Vikram and I, we approved it. The other one was, the mattress firm signage where, they have default approval for one signage facing the street, and they wanted 2 signage, and and looks like the previous tenant at that location had 2 signage, and it's pretty common to have 2 signs in that kind of a setup, and so we approved that exception as well. Just wanted to report on that.
Yeah.
You want
Thank
to
you.
add?
Thanks, Emily. No, I think you covered both of them quite well. Thank you for doing it.
Wonderful. Thank you for sharing that. Anybody else? Okay. With that, thank you for being here. Thank you for paying attention to the Planning Commission meeting of City of Cupertino for October 26, 2021. With that, I'd like to adjourn the meeting. So this meeting is officially adjourned. Thank you, everybody.